Atletico Madrid have approached this market with a real point to prove. Over 150 million euros already spent this window and counting. They're spending like the biggest teams out there. They are, of course, part of the big boy club, so that shouldn't be all that surprising. As has always been the case, if anyone has it in them to take down the two giants of Spain, it's Atletico. But are they doing enough? Hello, hope you're doing well. Welcome back. We've predominantly been covering the English Premier League in this off-season, all the transfers going on, all the news, all that good stuff. But I thought we'd switch it up a little bit, and you guys know that I like to try and keep at least somewhat up to date with the Bundesliga and La Liga, so it's a good change of pace. I may not be the most knowledgeable when it comes to teams outside of, in La Liga at least, Real Madrid and Barcelona, but I'm trying. And I know that this audience is probably a majority Premier League watching audience, so I think these videos are important to do. Atletico Madrid have been busy in this off-season, for good reason too. Last season they finished in third place, which is, roundabout normal for them. In fact, over the last 12 years, they finished in third 8 times. It tells you pretty much all you need to know. But last season, in particular, was quite interesting. They were top of the pile for quite a large amount of time for really crucial moments of the league season too. They were unbeaten for 83 days during the winter, and quite aptly, they were named the Winter Champions. They had the best defensive record in the league. But unfortunately, to the dismay of very many people, the Winter Champion title, it does not exist. As spring came around, Atletico picked up only 13 points over a possible 30 points, and in that same period, Barcelona and Real Madrid both rallied, Barca in particular. Antoine Griezmann dropped in form, other players were non-existent. Alexander Sørloth was also considered disappointing despite flashes of brilliance. He scored 20 goals overall in the league, which really isn't that bad at all, considering it was his first year with Atletico Madrid. But about 7 of those goals were scored in 2 games at the end of the season, and during Atletico's slump in form where they were dropping all those points, he seemed to be doing enough. The dependence on Julian Alvarez was becoming a little bit extreme. Defensive errors from Longley and Lenormand were quite prevalent. The once solid defensive partnership was becoming really prone to errors. But all of this is just talk on my part. Football is inherently open to discussion and opinions and all those things. You might disagree with many of the things I just said right now, but at the end of the day, what Atletico Madrid's season last year came down to were 2 pictures. And I'll show them to you right now. On the left is the table from the first half of the season. On the right is the second half. From winter champions to having an 18-point deficit between them and the actual champions in the second half of the season. And apart from that, they were eliminated from the Champions League by their city rivals Real Madrid with this horrible double kick by Julian Alvarez. I don't wish this on any man. And then fell out of the Club World Cup in the summer of 2025 in the group stages. Diego Simeone saw this and said, life simply can't go on like this. And so, 7 players have already walked through the doors of Atletico Madrid in this window and counting. The majority of them 24 years or younger. We have Alex Baena, a 23-year-old attack-minded midfielder, signed from Villarreal for a roughly reported 50 million euros including bonuses. The man was a standout performer for Villarreal, racking up goals and assists at crucial moments for the team and showcasing some incredible playmaking ability. He can play in many forward positions and thanks to the departure of Angel Correa, will be taking the number 10. Johnny Cardoso joined from Real Betis for about 30 million euros. He's a United States international, so you know there's going to be that little bit of extra bump in coverage and hype that comes with this guy. Comes with the territory, I guess. I watched quite a bit of Betis last season, especially when Anthony was doing really well. As a United fan, I wanted to see what was going on there. And Cardoso was having a lot of fun next to Anthony and Isco. He's a great player. He's high energy, intelligent, box to box. His engine and tactical smarts will fit very well in Simeone's system. And with the departure of Rodrigo de Paul, who from what I've been seeing actually had his most consistent season for Atletico last year, this is a pretty good acquisition for them. Thiago Almeida, 24 years old attacking midfielder coming from Botafogo for about 20 million euros. First of all, he's a World Cup winner, so you can't really go wrong with that, and he's already experienced European football. Although he came from Botafogo, he was on loan with Lyon last year. Another really creative, exciting prospect coming in. I'm not entirely sure about his work rate, but given that Atletico went for him, you'd have to imagine that they know he can be molded into the right stuff. Matteo Ruggeri, 22 years old, left back, signed from Atalanta for 20 million. With both Reinildo and Azpilicueta out the door, fullback bolstering is needed, which is also why Marc Pubil, a 22-year-old right back arriving from Almeria, arrived for about 20 million euros. And then we have the oldest of the signings, the only one above 24 years of age, David Hanko, signed from Feyenoord for about 30 million euros. Fun fact, he will be the first Slovakian player to play for Atletico Madrid in the club's history. And while I was making this video, I was doing a little bit of research, lurking inside of any Feyenoord fan forum I could find, and the way they were talking about this guy and the loss of him, it was as if he truly is one of the best players to ever play for Feyenoord in the defensive positions at the very least, and I think that says quite a lot. And they're not done yet. A deal for another creative midfielder in Enzo Milot from Stuttgart, 23 years old, looks like it's about to be concluded for about 20 million euros. Now, there are a couple other rumors floating around. I'm not going to go into too much detail on them. There's Vega from Chelsea, Anthony Man United, Ademola Lookman from Atalanta. But I think what you can probably expect as an Atletico Madrid fan is that there's probably going to be at least one more really big signing coming through the door. The way these guys are moving, it just seems like the entire thing needs to be overhauled, and Simeone and the board are really going for it this time around. And honestly, they really do have to. I spoke at the start of the video about how they're the only team, realistically, that is able to compete with the juggernauts of the league, and they are. They've shown that time and time again. In terms of raw talent, financial power, and overall pull, for those really, really big superstars, I don't think Atletico Madrid will ever be able to compete with Real Madrid and Barcelona, not consistently over long stretches of time, at the very least. Barcelona, when they go into financial turmoil, they can always rely on their academy to just pop up and bring incredible players to the forefront. Real Madrid are able to pull the best players in the world and make them run down their contracts just so they can go to them. So on paper, the easiest thing for anybody is always going to be to write them off. But even still, I think there are a lot of reasons that can invoke confidence in this Atletico Madrid team, even if it's not in the league specifically, but in all the various competitions that they're playing in. They have a fantastic team with great players all across the field. They've revamped their entire defense, which a lot of fans were complaining about. And based on all the profiles of players that they have right now, it really, really lends itself to being able to experiment and play with many, many different shapes and formations. And I probably need to clarify, I keep talking about their defense as if it was shambolic and not the second best defense in the league, better than both Barcelona and Real Madrid and only worse than Athletic Club. I know that stats don't always paint the full picture, but I think it's probably worth noting that Jan Oblak statistically had a better season than Thibaut Courtois. He won the Zamora Trophy, which is an award given to the goalkeeper with the lowest goals conceded to games ratio. Now, I obviously am trying to be positive, but it is important to temper expectations a little bit. Real Madrid have just been stung by a trophyless season, so they're out for blood right now. Barcelona are the champions, so they want to defend that. The cold truth is that Atletico have only won La Liga twice in the last 25 years. And the only team other than Barcelona and Real Madrid to win it in that time frame was Valencia, and they haven't really challenged that much in the last 20 odd years. Atletico are really going to have to call on that grit, that hard-running, never-say-die attitude and persona that's gotten them this far and has gotten them really close on many, many occasions. But at the end of the day, anything could happen. And there we have it. What do you guys think about Atletico Madrid's chances, their transfer window, La Liga as a whole? That's all for me today. Obligatory, check out the Spotify. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.